Food safety and preparation. Applying food safety principles in the kitchen is important to maintain the health and well-being of yourself and the residents. As you will be regularly preparing meals in the kitchen for the residents, many hazards within this environment are present. Therefore, precautions must be taken. This can be done in various ways. First is uniform. In order to avoid serious injury to yourself, correct uniform whilst cooking is vital. You can ensure this safety by wearing closed-in shoes, a lab coat or apron, gloves, having hair tied back, and wearing minimal jewellery. If jewellery must be worn for religious or cultural reasons, it should be taped to prevent contamination of food. The second area we'll be looking at is hygiene. All efforts to remain safe can be defeated if hygienic practice is not employed. Thus, this area of food safety is vital. Hygiene can be maintained by washing hands. It's important to wash your hands before, during and after food preparation, after coughing, sneezing or handling raw foods, using the bathroom or taking out the rubbish. Also note that wearing gloves does not replace washing hands, and hands should be washed before using gloves and also in between changing gloves. It's also important to wipe down bench tops and cooking areas prior to food preparation. The next area we will look at is the most dangerous yet the most common to occur when safety measures aren't taken. Food contamination can easily occur if food is not handled correctly. However, as a carer, you can just as easily prevent this by ensuring the following. Make sure the correct boards are used for the right foodstuffs, i.e. the red board for the meat and poultry, the blue board for seafood and seafood products, and the green board for fruit and vegetables. If these colours are not available in your kitchen, make sure the board is thoroughly washed between use and handling of different foods. Also ensure that hot, soapy water is used to thoroughly clean equipment after use. This includes crockery, cutlery, and other utensils. This will limit the growth of germs and bacteria. And finally, as we mentioned before, maintenance of personal hygiene is important to avoid the spread of germs. Next, we'll have a look at food preparation cooking techniques. As the carer, you'll be using a few simple cooking techniques to prepare meals for the residents. We will now run through a few simple precautions to take when using cooking techniques in the kitchen. Firstly, when using the stovetop, never leave a naked flame unattended. Also, when using pots, for example to boil water, ensure that the handle is turned safely to the right to avoid it being toppled over, whilst also maintaining a safe distance from the stove. These same principles apply when carrying out other forms of cooking, such as frying. When preparing meals for residents, you'll be using a wide variety of cooking techniques. A common technique will involve chopping vegetables in order to make a variety of meals included in your menu plan, such as a stir-fry or salad. Some safety tips to keep in mind when chopping vegetables include always washing and scrubbing the vegetables before chopping them, using a sharp knife to chop vegetables, tucking fingers away when cutting and using the other hand to firmly hold down the item. It's also important to cut down with the knife at set intervals, avoid cutting too fast, and using the right coloured chopping board. And finally, when baking, ensure that a safe distance is maintained when opening and closing the oven. Oven mitts should also be used when handling hot trays. The final area we will look at is storage and temperature. Storage and temperature must be taken into consideration when handling and stocking up food in order to ensure the food's quality is maintained. This can be done by making sure all equipment are stored in clean, dry places, making sure the temperature of the fridge is less than 4 degrees Celsius and that the temperature of the freezer is less than -18 degrees Celsius. Make sure leftovers are separated into smaller containers as opposed to one big container, and also make sure these containers are airtight to avoid spoilage. Also make sure you reheat cooked foods only once, don't place hot foods in the fridge before allowing them to cool first, and date mark all leftover foods. By ensuring these few simple steps, the quality and safety of the food can be maintained.